I never thought that it's possible to win actually your ex back. I thought if someone dumps me, this is a close job. But how wrong I was and how funny for me it was to find that there are structured ways, real strategies to win your ex back. My name is Emanuel Albert. I'm a relationship coach. For years I've been helping people to win back their ex, escape the friend zone, or lead happier relationships. Hi and welcome for the very first podcast we produce. Hi Faye.
Hi Emanuel.
Faye is with me. This is the tradition in my team, in our Date Dr. Emanuel team, that someone is doing this podcast, kind of an interview, kind of a talk, because I really easily get distracted by thoughts and anecdotes and ideas, and then you help me to come back onto track.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, it is. Now, we thought really thoroughly on how to start this podcast because we have a podcast already running in German language because I'm a German native, which you never might have thought by listening to me. And X-Back is my big topic. It was the big topic with which I kind of started as date doctor my whole career. Mm-hmm. I will never forget a friend coming back, this is back in my school days, a friend came back and he was totally heartbroken because he fell in love with an Italian girl. She was, of course, beautiful.
Of course, aren't they all?
Of course, yeah, always, and such a beautiful personality too. And he was sitting in my room and we were speaking about what he could do to kind of win back her attention and kind of winning her back and the whole relationship back. And now speaking about this, I remember, and this is still in my school time, that was not the first time that I helped someone. It's just one time that I really vividly remember because he was so heartbroken. So that was one episode. And another one was a friend of mine. She made out with one of my classmates. And my classmate really treated her quite rude. So on the third night they dated, he was totally going cold, ignoring her and then not responding her calls anymore. And since we were all kind of meeting in this kind of friends every once in a week or every 2 weeks, so they met each other, and he was kind of strange because he knew he was not into her so much. And he kind of fell back to his former girlfriend. And she was kind of really desperate and came to me and said, Emanuel, you always help people on their issues, on their love issues. You have any hints what happens there? And I had like the perfect strategy ready for her. And I was always very pleased when someone asked me how this case went, because I could always answer. They were living together for 7 to 8 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really long-term relationship for us. We were always quite young. And she, after those 7-8 years, finally decided that she needs something new and went off. And I was always kind of proud because she did exactly what I told her, was all the no contact rule, ignoring and all the whole stuff. She was
We'll talk about it later.
Yes, you're right. Thank you. And there we go. This is Faye and me. Hello.
Yeah, just reminding the people that you haven't actually talked about the no contact rule yet. You haven't actually talked about how important it is to ignore people.
True that. You're right. Plus, we had a little structure. I see it here on my notebook.
It's open. Out the window.
Totally. Plus, and usually, of course, for me, one of my biggest hints or tips, I always serve one for the end of the podcast. So it is kind of hopefully make it easier to you to listen to the end. It's always worth it. Let's go to our structure.
Yeah. I thought first episode, how did you actually get into the whole business? You started off, little personal anecdote. You had friends that just valued your opinion and your insights into the topic. But there seems to me that there's a gap between, okay, friends value my opinion when it comes to my love life, and actually having an office, running an office in Berlin where we all work. We have our morning check-ins. We work with coaches. Yeah, it's also a job.
Cutting the podcast, cutting the YouTube videos. We have,
Exactly.
a little studio here.
So how did that happen?
How did this happen? For me, the funny thing is, I give a lot of credits to my parents, especially to my dad. My dad was kind of a hippie meditation teacher. Some people know this technique. It's TM, Transcendental Meditation. So we all are teachers for this technique. I did this already during my studies. I studied computer science and psychology. And my dad, he always, and also my mom, she was also a meditation teacher, and they both were coaches. So our topic at home was never sports, never economics. Sometimes I thought it would have also been a nice topic to kind of speak about as an adult, looking back onto my childhood. Then we never spoke about politics, which was for me sometimes really funny. And when I tried to join some discussions, I could never, because I did not know the people, and it was kind of embarrassing for me to show how less I know about politics. But what I always knew, because that was the stuff my dad loved to talk about, is which couples would stay together, who is kind of heartbroken, and why he would sabotage his love life, why he would not achieve certain goals. So this is what I was kind of brought up with, speaking and discussing how people's lives are going and developing with their goals, and how they would sabotage themselves or achieve things, and also how they would ruin their love lives, or how they would with certain things suddenly enliven it. I will never forget, like my father said, oh yeah, they will have a third baby. I said, like, why? And he said, you see them. I know this couple since 4 years now. Now since 2 years, I see how he kind of changed. He got a little colder. And I recognized, because his wife is helping in his shop. He's a mechanic. He repairs cars, and she's running the back office. And I recognize since 2 years how she's kind of cold to him. And I see this. So I went on a coffee with her, and I told her, why are you so cold to your husband? And she said, da, 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 da. And then I helped a little bit to understand him better. And I saw the effect since 2-3 months. He's smiling a little bit more. My feeling is, pregnant in the next month. And he was right. They got the kid 1 year later. So we had discussions like this. What could you do? And also friends always came to him, and he always shared this with me. So I'm as the oldest son. I was in the world of what works and would not work. And I was very early starting, like, consulting friends in school on their love issues. And later on, now we have to make a little jump. When I started my coaching office, I became a coach for executives and sales and IT. I studied computer science and psychology. But the funny thing is, all those clients started to use me or misuse me, I have to say, as their relationships coach. Like on session 5 or 4, like, Emanuel, the team is running smoothly, beautiful. I have a question. My boyfriend didn't touch me for half a year. Is this normal? And I thought, oh, finally she's asking me, because I always got those little like this little hints on her behavior where I thought, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. If she does this with her boyfriend, this is not good. And so then there was a time when I was officially the executive coach. And we're also going to companies, totally giving those trainings, 1-day trainings, 2-day trainings, team events, and all those stuff. But usually on the second, third topic, we were always ending up on relationship, family, here and there. So I started to go deeper into this whole topic, reading, also studying, also taking courses, trainings myself. And I always recognized how I already had a huge world of understanding in my head, in my psyche, and I could use nice elements from other coaches. And I really like the contemporary kind of coaching. I'm not so much into couple therapy. I can work with couple. I worked with couples, but I love to have the one who has a goal, or who is treated badly, or she's always falling in love with assholes. And I love to work with her. Growing self-esteem, learning techniques, communication, stuff we will speak about in this podcast. And suddenly I thought, like, And then I had a request like by German television, because I started to give coaching. I was more open about it. I started the German YouTube channel and giving hints on X-Back and stuff. And I got quite some response. So German television approached me, German channels approached me, wanting to do some things, and then some companies there, which are in the dating market, wanted to use me as expert on their website and stuff like this. So I had to start a blog. And I will never forget this, because I went to my wife, we just were freshly married, and said like, honey, I need to start a blog as a relationship coach. What to do and what to start. I had no idea. I was totally blank, and blogs on those days already were quite big. We are speaking 2013. And she just came in the kitchen and said, just call it Date Dr. Emanuel, and left the kitchen again.
Throwaway remark.
I was like, I can now discuss with friends for days what to take, or I just take this and move on. And I did it. And of course, it was still free. Of course. So datedremanuel.de and datedr-emanuel.com, all those things started then actually. And I got direct response from German media. There were like series with me where I help people on dating stuff. But my core topic was always winning the X-Back, because this is for me really, it's a very tough but doable trial. It's a path that you can find, and you can, I love this. I just have to say I love this. This is very funny, because people have so many discussions with me about it. Does this make sense? Is it possible? So many times I had interviews in some online or offline magazines in Germany and newspapers, like, why does it make sense and why does it not make sense?
Why? You totally took the question out of my mouth, because this being the first episode, X-Back being sort of one of your first major fields that you would coach in. Yeah. Why X-Back coaching? There are so many other topics you could discuss when talking about relationships.
If I look at a relationship, or if I look at someone who just dropped out of a relationship, for me, I'm very aware of the fact that they had a relationship, they were in love, and this does not happen so many times in your life. So one of my favorite questions is, how many people you were so close to, like to this ex-partner? And usually the answer is 2, 3, 4, 5 people in my life. So we don't speak of some random person we would like to conquer or win back, but we speak about someone, one of those very few that I've been so close to. And this every time I speak about it, it hits me how true this is. Like if I think of the first girlfriend I tried to win back, and I would win her back. And in my book, Winning Your Ex Back, I have a version for women and for men. I speak about this a lot because I share a lot of insights. Because for me, it's very important that I went through those challenges. I experienced those hard moments. I had heartache for a long time. I was lost, and I found myself again. And I won my ex-partner back. I won her back. And when she dumped me, and I had just asked her whether she would, I just proposed. It was a very stupid situation, because I proposed and I didn't propose very beautiful. I have to admit that was not my best move. And she was kind of irritated. I was irritated, because later on I thought, oh my God, I proposed. It was more like in a natural talk that this came out of my lips. And she took her time, and she answered that she would want to become my wife like 7 to 10 days later, when I left her, moving back to my hometown where I had my final exams. So this was a very tragic moment, or a very dramatic or very romantic moment, I have to say. On the train station, I stood in the door of the train shortly before doors would close. She would stand there, look, wave, and then she said yes. And I said like, what? Yes, because I was just not getting it. And she said, yes, your question. And then with this typical face, think, duh. I thought like, no, really? Like the question, she said, yes. I think yes. And I said, wow. And I sat in the train and I thought like, I'm getting married. We're taking this relationship to the next level. Wow. And 7 days later, she dumps me. And I was falling in a hole, like I was not coming onto ground anymore. I was just falling and falling endlessly. So in that moment, there was no question for me like, does expect make sense or not? I was not even aware of that there is a concept, a strategy, because in those days it's far away. There was no internet with all the topics well explained. There was no YouTube. You could find some videos, you would find some hints and some stuff and a lot of stupid stuff. You remember the old days of the internet, but way back like the late 90s. And then I had really like scratched together all the bits and pieces I was remembering I would do if a friend would come to me as a consultant. But if you're yourself the one that is in the pit and this is heartbroken, it's completely different than if you consult someone.
Yes, sure.
So I did all the mistakes and it was up and down. But in my head, this girl was the closest to me ever. So if you would have asked me in those days a very simple question like, does it make sense to get with her together again? I would have said, no one was ever so close. She said yes. I had friends who said, we always saw you as a married couple with kids. You will become husband and wife. You will have kids. So with all those feedback, for me, it was plain and clear and obvious that we have to get back together. This is like my soulmate. And I get this question from time to time, by the way, do you believe in soulmates? And I have I have a point of view that it's a little bit more complex than this. There's just one soulmate. But there are some few people who really get close to you. And in those days, I would have just said, why? Why not try to make this happen again if there is a possibility? If one like lost or missed out on some knowledge or some communication strategy or some tricks or something, whatever would make this relationship work. Like if a technique is missing, if just one technique is missing and this couple like spent together already 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then he drops out and she dumps him or the other way around. And I, as a coach, I could give him 1 or 2 techniques or some little hints on his self-esteem that would make him like a little bit more strong to hold it, and they would continue as a couple. Why not try that? So I remember when I was saying this, when I was talking to an interviewer, she was interviewing me for the Vice magazine, the German edition, Vice. And she really used very strong words as her initial reaction when she listened to this argument. And she's like, when I was reading the article, I thought this was very funny. It's a little bit explicit, but she used the F word because she said, listening to this, what the date doctor said, I just thought I am F ... because she remembered straight away one boyfriend that was very close to her. And she always thought old coffee is old coffee. There's a saying in Germany, you don't drink old coffee. Old coffee is cold. But you never warm up cold coffee or something. There's a saying, I think it's also a proverb in English. I don't know. But I was always replying that you can't use coffee as an analogy for 2 people having a relationship that finally did not work out. But maybe if they would work on themselves and they change things and they develop, they could maybe have the next beautiful relationship even better than the one before.
Yeah.
And there's another thing that I always recognized and found with people that really take it serious, that work with us very seriously, and you know that Faye and everybody in my team who's working with me knows this, is people are challenged, but they learn a lot. So every time I was like trying to win my ex back, I was learning so much about myself, like my weak parts. Like, for instance, the moment, like when I proposed to her, that was really stupid. But by trying it and doing it not the right way, I learned so much later on in the feedback because, of course, I sat at home and I had to do those final exams while she was kind of like getting into her new relationship, which I kind of felt. And it was always on the back of my mind. I felt something and suddenly they came together and then you see how your intuition did work and what did he do and what did I not do? I did not think like, what does he have that I don't have? But more like, where did I miss out? Where did I went the wrong way? And when I later on wrote about this and wrote my ebook and my whole program on winning your ex-back, I still had enlightenments, epiphanies. Where did I lose attraction? And this is the whole big game. Winning your ex-back is if there's many ways you can look at it, but one way would be it's really the run to win back so much attraction that your ex cannot look away from you and does need to talk to you again, wants to have more contact, wants to know what happened, and would love to have the next experience with you. All this is possible.
Shall we say hello to all our new listeners who have now gotten to find out who you are, what kind of work you do. And next episode, we will go into the promised no contact rule.
For instance,
what it means to actually be attractive. You've teased about it a little bit now.
Maybe we go into chances.
Oh, that sounds good. Yes. How good are my chances to win back my ex? What makes my chances improve? What makes them worse? Also, maybe how can you get your ex back really, really quickly? Is that possible? Can I get him back fast? We'll look into all of that in our next episode.
We do so. I promised, though, one hint that I love, and I would like to share one. For me, if you want to win your ex back, or if you already try to win your ex back, there's a lot of know-how online. Of course there is. And the first thing for me is always to make up your mind quite clearly and start to have a strong vision. A vision on how you see yourself happy again with your partner. In 2 or 3 years, I always give, and this is how you start to learn with me how I see this. What's my pick on ex-back? It's you have time. The funny thing is, and this is the second thing I want to share with you, you have more time than you think. Most people are very afraid of the ex running and slipping away, making new contacts, being on dating. Yes, this is a risk you run anyways. You can't avoid that. You have to accept it. And anyway, if you are able to accept this and bear this already makes you stronger. If you see this in the right way, if you see this in a constructive way, in a positive way, of you becoming tougher and enduring this hardship of knowing about all those risks, but still saying, I give it a try, I give it a shot. So you have the vision. And the vision is directed in 2 to 3 years. Why? Because so much things can happen in the meantime that you would never expect anyway, positively, like in a positive way, also in a negative way. But if you work on yourself and you work on that and you use strategies, and we'll give you strategies, and we have so much experience, so many cases and so many years. I look back of about more than 2 decades of experiences because I started helping people in school. Now, the vision is in 2 to 3 years. It's a far point. It's a point quite far. So your subconscious can't say, no, it won't happen because it looks so bad right now. Or yes, it will happen because it looks so good right now. Your subconscious is like switched off. I don't know, because in 2 or 3 years, I have no idea. So yeah, I kind of give in. I kind of believe that vision. So you have the little trick to have a lot of trust from your subconscious that this vision in 2 or 3 years might be a quite possible reality. And I will speak more about the visions because there's more to it. But right now, dare to take a vision of you and your ex-partner in 2 or 3 years where you maybe walk some pathway, you have a nice walk on the Sunday afternoon, take from the image a neutral weather, so it could be any month of the year, and what you feel, you see yourself and your ex-partner, you walk happily Maybe you hold hands, maybe not. Somewhere in the distance, the camera is quite far away, which films the situation, but you see yourself. And what I always think when I have this vision, and I use this in sport and all kinds of, because I have tough days now in this phase of winning my expect, I use this vision, and I always think, yes, there we are again. And he or she loves me as much as I love her. It's if you see the two walking side to side, it's like a 8 on the side that's around them, one circle and the other circle. So he or she loves me as much as I love her, and I know this is possible. So this is one of my really, really strong things to work on your mindset. Incorporate immediately if you don't have something like this already. And we'll get back to the topic in the next podcast. Faye, you're totally right. And thanks for timing me and structuring. If you like this podcast and you think you learn something or you want something out of it, although it's just the start of a whole series, give us a like, recommend us. This helps us. And the more, of course, positive feedback we have, the more easy for us is it to make it bigger and bring more know-how and more knowledge to the table. And give us a positive feedback. If you have any questions, you can just write us questions. We will bring this into the podcast. We always bring also in the German series question to podcast. So team@emanuelalbert.de or team@emanuelalbert.com. Very simple. Ask this question, and we love and be delighted to be there for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And until the next time, winning your expect, the continuation. I hope you enjoyed my coaching session. For more information on relationship and dating coaching, go to datedoctor-emanuel.com.